Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. It's Uxtsuki. In this short video, I will talk about technique of painting a pixel art that I think most beginners are interested in, but they do not know how to properly make it. I will create two spheres, and this is kinda related to that video I talked about cluster because this kind of resembles of that part that I said about breaking clusters. All right, maybe there is a specific name for it, maybe pixel intermission, cluster, whatever. But for me, it's still being cluster breaking. So imagine this first sphere. I'm trying to make a bush. I need to transmit this is a bush, and I want, for example, three colors for the gradient. So I will have a shadow base color and the light. So how I will handle this? So I will just make this, for example, and just make this, for example. Okay, so I cleaned this a bit. Actually, I think I will copy this here as well. I want this to be a bush. What would be the cluster breaking? Close to the color transitions, you will start to make intrusions, you will start to make break this cluster softly. If this is a 3D form, this would kind of follows the curvature of this case here. So I will make something like this, and I will just mark where the intrusions would be, right? And here as well. Now I will polish these clusters. If this is a leaf, I will try to make this more like this, for example, this kind of cluster, but without placing clusters over it. Actually, I will just try to shape this with intrusions. So I will place pixels here and there. I just wanted to remember that in that video of clusters, I also talked about how bushes usually have a center and the clusters kind of flows from the center to the extreme. So it's kind of something like this. It's kind of the center is emitting the clusters. This is the basic thing. I didn't place any complex clusters for now. Some of them you want to separate on these cluster parts because remember when I said about how to imply things is cluster plus the hint. For now everything is a same cluster. So I will separate some of them, and now I might want to add more intrusions in here, so this still being read as same thing that is progressing in being more and more condensed. I think this is kinda okay. I will add some diminishing clusters of the brighter part in here and some of them in here, like it is fading away. Think with me. This should be basically a representation of a cluster that is over a cluster that is over another cluster. Actually, we need to add hints of these clusters is in the middle of all these things. So actually we start to add some clusters here and there. The format of our user cluster, so in this case leaves. So I like this diagonal type of leaf, and ideally it should not overlap the lighter one. I could also as well do the same thing in the bright part, so I will actually add some hints of the things might overlap each other. And as well add a bright clusters in this area in here that is not below the terminator because is where the light does not reach. But in this case, the light is coming from above, so there will be areas that is highlighted by this as well down here. And as you can see, remember, this is not to follow the counter, the outline or the silhouette of the leaf. It's like if this is the leaf, so if the light is come from like in this direction, this will have a lighted part. So even if like without this, we will have the hint of a leaf, for example. So what you can do is, for example, to get rid of this flat area, is to paint part of this shape and draw clusters over it. So as you can see, now we have way more cluster than before, and it is not looking that bad. So if this is my shadow, I will look for something, for example in this saturation and in this bluish color, for example. Let me just select it, so I will actually this I think this color. I would go for something like with a little bit more of saturation over the previous color of the shadow because it is light. I will go for something like this. And to the light part, I will with this and a little bit more like yellowish, something like this. So now we have this type of leaf color. Alright? I personally I like this type of, you could actually, instead of doing that stripe that I did and make the clusters inside of it, you might actually go for that painting order that I talk about. You place the shadow and then you're gonna adding the light parts, then you add the light or the highlights and so on. So actually you would do this like since the beginning, but I think in this way you have a really cool like separation, like this is the mid and bot, this is the center, and this is the spot area, let me put it this way. But this is very clustered, and for example my pixel art style usually lacks cluster. Alright, so how would I do this? With, for example, feathers. I would do almost the same thing of that part, but instead of doing it for the whole transition of colors, I would just add in like in certain parts. For example, if it is a white bird, this would be way white. This would be a little bit white. But obviously there is a counter side of this technique because it looks like this area is super detailed, but the rest not. What is causing this effect? As I said, this is totally more a stylistic choice than anything else. You could totally go with this, but if you like pixel art with less cluster or more clean, your tree could be just be three spheres. Something like this, and you just need to hint like this is a leaf, this is also this, something like this. Just remember to also to increase the overlapping feeling. Make some clusters, some parts of your subject jump out of this silhouette. So you will give way more impression that is a 3D thing. Alright, so thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful and I'll see you in the next video.